This is To the Front. Tools for today's top agents.
Welcome back after a 2-week break. Yes, 2 long weeks. We're back for episode number 31 of To the Front. And I've got a great episode for you. But before we go there, can I tell you something frustrating about being the dad of a 17-year-old kid? And maybe you've had the same exact frustration. I will pick up the phone as I just want to talk to my son. And instead of answering my phone call, he will ignore the call and then text me, "What do you need?" I know I'm not the only one in that boat. I know some of you all have teenage kids that do the exact same thing. They would rather text than they would call, or they would rather send me a message, DM me or something on Instagram rather than pick up the phone. It drives me crazy because all I want to do is I want to talk to him. And I've noticed this trend in businesses over the last few years, and maybe you've noticed it as well, that they are starting to prefer text messages and other digital communication versus just picking up the phone call. But would you agree that when you need help, you often just want to talk to somebody? You often just want to hear a live person on the phone. And that's not an AI person, that's a real person. And so today's topic is all about the power of just answering the phone and about having somebody there to pick it up when your customers call, and how that can actually grow and make your business stand above others. In fact, just picking up the phone. Maybe you've heard it said this way: 90% of success in life is just showing up. Let's rephrase it. 90% of your successful business is just picking up the phone. And to talk about this topic and some tools that we think are going to help with that is my friend Lee Ann Stach. Lee Ann, welcome to the podcast. Glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Listen, now let me tell you who Leanne is, man, because she has got it going on in terms of business and everything there is to help agents. She was a long-term captive agent that branched out and said, "Hey, I want to create products to help agents." And so she's now created her second product. Her first product was Agency Team Pro. We've talked about that on the podcast. That's a remote service, folks, remote team members to help your agency. We'll talk about that in a minute. She is on the team that produces the Helpy Hour event. If you're on that Facebook group, the Unconventional Convention, which I was at year one, Leanne, great event. I mean, one of my favorite events of the year.
Thanks.
We'll talk about that in a minute too. But really today, I want to talk about your new company called Ringleaders, because it addresses this topic of just answering the phone. And so to get the podcast going, I just want to ask you a question, okay? In a world that really does, I think, prioritize text and digital communication, right? Why is it, I think, sometimes that businesses are leaning into that and maybe even leaning away from a phone call? So let's talk about that for a second. Why is it so important to answer the phone?
Well, I would say that if you have to think about it, it's kind of like a double standard a little bit. So when a business is reaching out to you, you want them to reach out to you in a way that you can respond when it's convenient. But when you want to reach out to that business, you want help right then. I'm paying you money. I want help right now. So I want that personal touch. And to be honest, excuse my language, but we live in a day and age where you kind of find yourself in phone tree hell a little bit.
That's right.
And, it's just like, it's so frustrating because you feel like you have only so many hours in the day and you really need to get where you need to go to get your answers. And when people don't answer the phone, it's really, really frustrating. And so I still think that there is so much value in a real person that can provide answers, answering the phone.
Answer the phone. Now, did you see this play out in your agency when you were in full-time agency?
Yeah, I would say, and we see it with agents now too, just because, I'm, doing different things with ATP and Ringleaders, but we saw this a lot where we just, it almost didn't matter how many people I had in the office. If you had 4 or 5 people in the office and they're all kind of busy with one person and the phone's still ringing about bills and different things like that, then then you're losing quotes, you're losing personal relationships that, those customers could transfer someone else, to another agent. They could, not only transfer to another agent, they could just go to another company altogether.
Oh,
And, so I saw that a lot. And where I kind of started my businesses was there was these gaps in my agency. And so I was like, well, how do I fix these gaps? And I tried a couple of vendors and things like that, but they weren't exactly what I needed. So whenever, I wasn't trying to exactly reinvent the wheel with everything.
yeah.
I was trying to make things better.
Yeah.
So I rolled out, whenever we rolled out ATP, whenever we rolled out Ringleaders, we tried to really cater it to what the needs of agents are, not just some, putting that duct tape on a hole in the boat or something like that. It's a
Sure.
real solution. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I think what you're doing is so successful, because I think anytime we start with trying to solve a problem and we come up with a solution that solves it, and like you say, not duct tape it, but solves it for good, it brings great value. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's about trying to help agents to do what they do better and provide real solutions and tools. And so that's where this sort of ringleaders thing kind of came to my mind, because I don't think phone calls are going with or the importance of phone calls is going away. And now let me tell you, now maybe you might disagree with me a little bit. I don't know. I actually know every time I'm talking to an AI bot, I know I'm talking to an AI bot, and I don't like it. Am I in a boat by myself there, or like, do you think that AI is going to really replace answering the phone?
No, I mean, and like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen those videos where like AI is starting to interview people and stuff like that. And then it
Yeah.
gets stuck and you end up in this feedback loop and they say the same thing over and over again. Or I don't know, I had to call my credit card company the other day, and you say all the prompts and the AI bot tries to get you where you need to go. And then I didn't get where I needed to go. It
Yep.
wasn't the correct place. I had to hit pound to go back a menu so that I could try it again. And it was a really, really frustrating experience. Even though it appeared that someone was talking to me, I still knew I was kind of speaking into the void. So no,
Yeah.
you're not alone. We get that a lot. And I don't think that we are ever going to go away from needing some kind of personal touch.
Yeah.
I just, and honestly, I think at some point people are going to kind of get tired of the AI chatbots. And I think we're going to maybe,
Mhm.
this is just my prediction, is that we may go backwards a little bit, that
Yeah.
people a little bit, more of that personal service. But we'll see. Only time will tell if I'm right.
Only time will tell. But there are some pretty good indicators that when technology advances, sometimes people want to go back in time a little bit, like the rise in popularity of vinyl records. I'm just thinking about that. Like, there is a boom of people that are buying record machines, that are being record players, and they're actually buying vinyl albums. And I'm like, dude, that was what, the 60s, maybe 50s? I don't know. But
Yeah, I think it was a little bit later than that. I think like 8-track came out in like the 80s or something, 70s
oh yeah,
or something like that. So yeah.
something, yeah. But I mean, now you can have hundreds of thousands, millions of songs in your pocket with Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever. But people are actually literally buying that, because I do think there is something special about a tangible product. But in the same way, I do think talking to somebody on the phone, there's something that you just can't replace about that using AI, and it's something that a text message doesn't really communicate. Now, you said something a minute ago, but I want to ask you about this. I think it was really profound, and it was this: when you miss a call, oftentimes you find out that that person's just going to call the next agent that's in the Google search. So how often do you see that happening? A missed call leading to a missed sale? I'm sure you see that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the exact data on, what the exact number of missed quotes or missed sales or anything like that is, because obviously they're lost calls. But what we did find is that whenever we sat down with agents and we talked to them about our service, they were shocked. So we would have them pull their abandoned call report, And, because initially they'd be like, well, we're not missing that many calls. Like
Yeah.
it's really not that big of a deal. And I was like, well, just pull your abandoned call report and just look at it. Just see what it says. And many, many, many of the agents that we have signed up already, they were finding out that they were missing hundreds of calls
Wow.
per week. And it could have been anything. It could have been a telemarketer, no big deal. It could have been, it could have been a quote. It could have been a current customer. It could have been, it literally could have been, it could have been anything. And so you just don't know. And so how can you really know, if your marketing is working or you're getting the return on your investment for any of that stuff, if you're missing 100 to 200 calls a week?
Yeah.
You potentially could have missed half of the quotes that could have come in from, an advertisement that you ran,
That's
or
right.
a show, like an event that you did or something like that. So, it's really hard to be accurate with your data if you're missing things.
That's right. And it, again, I'm putting myself in the shoes of the caller. When I need something from specifically a new sale, I need it right away because I've probably procrastinated. And so if I need that insurance, I need it right now. You don't pick up the phone. I'm not saying, well, I'll go have lunch and I'll call them back. No, I'm calling the next person. And especially in an industry, and I know there's a movement to decommoditize. That's actually my next podcast episode about decommoditizing insurance. But in an industry that is widely accepted as a commodity, they're just going to go to the next person. There's probably agents in your town with your same company, and they'll just go to the next person. And so you miss a call, agents, you're missing a lot. And that's just on the sales side, not to mention a customer that just really needs to work through something. All right. They, they're going to call back, but they're also going to remember that you didn't answer the phone that first time, or that they didn't get to hear a live person. So I'm a big believer in just answering the phone. But Leanne, I got to tell you, I mean, with my work with Front Runner, I talk to agents every day, all day, and they all just don't put a ton of, now they will all put emphasis on outbound calls, right? But they don't put a ton of emphasis on just answering the call. And I think that's where you can come in and help. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But I want to make one more point about phone calls that agents, I want you to hear, and I'm going to ask Leanne about it, is that I often talk about the value of somebody's time, that everyone has like what I call an hourly rate or their hourly value. And it's actually not what you pay them per hour, whether it's salary or whatever, right? They still have an hourly rate, but it's actually the hourly value of their time, right? And so I always put it into two buckets, right? One is everyone's got $100 an hour work. That's the stuff that only they can do, that they do best, that really moves the company, the business forward. And then there's the $10 an hour work, right? That's the work that almost anybody can do. But the problem with $10 an hour work is that it's like a squeaky wheel. Like it's always there. It's always in the back of your mind. But what it does, it takes away from the really important stuff that you could be doing. And therefore the value of an hour goes down for a team member. All right. So I hope I explained that well, what I'm thinking through in my head. But I've never sat in your seat as an agent, but I guess my question to you is, have you ever seen something like answering the phone? Like we've talked about how important it is. So we're going to put that to the side for a second. But have you ever seen those kind of $10 an hour tasks, like answering the phone, occupy team members to where they can't get some of their more important stuff done? Have you seen that play out in agencies?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I started out with the company that I was with. I started out working for an agent. That's how I got started. And like, you just wouldn't believe how many times you answer the phone and someone's just, what time do you close? And I could have been
Yeah.
in the middle of trying to work up a quote, trying to, make good use of the license that I worked hard to get.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a quote. And then one time as an agent, I happened to pick up the phone, and it was a guy that just had a simple question about when his bill was due. Easy to answer, and then he proceeded to he was a Chiefs fan. I was, I was an agent in Kansas City. He was a Chiefs fan, and he proceeded to sing the entire tomahawk chop song. You know how they do like at the beginning of the game or whatever. If you're not a Chiefs fan, maybe you don't know.
No, I 100% know that song.
Yeah, he sang the entire thing after I answered his question about the bill because he was excited about, how good they were doing. And I just thought, I don't have time for this, but I still want to listen to you because you're my customer and I care about you, and we're here to provide personal relationships. But if I had somebody to answer the phone that could have just sat there and, listened to that and answered a simple question, I could have moved on to more important things. So I definitely think that time is money, and every little thing that sort of holds us up. Not to say that personal relationships and having that connection with customers isn't important, because sometimes you do need to do that, especially as the agent and the face of your agency. You do have to provide that stuff for your customers from time to time. But you can't do it every single time for every single person. And so having a person that can just answer the phones and handle some of those menial tasks, answer questions about, hey, when's your bill due? Or take that simple payment. This person doesn't need a quote. They owe $150. They're ready to pay $150. Let's just take this money. Or, just simple things that can get done. Let a different person handle those, and then let us be the funnel, where we can sort of dole out those tasks that go to those people with those higher value, jobs or licenses or whatever they have, be the funnel and kind of funnel those where they need to go so that everybody can get more done with their day and the customers are still happy with the service that they're receiving.
Bam. That's a solution, right? Because you want your customers to feel valued and heard. You want to pick up the phone, because we just talked about the problem that gets created when you don't pick up the phone. But we also talked about the opposite problem of your paid producers answering the phone and all of a sudden going down on a rabbit hole to where now they're listening to some guy sing the Chiefs song, which is insane, by the way. That's diabolical. All right.
It was the whole thing. It was really long.
Right. But if you're listening to this podcast, you know that you've got customers that when their name pops across, you guys are like, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that, because 30 minutes of your time is gone. They are that and I'm not making fun of customers, but you do know you've got those customers that are like stream of consciousness. They're just going to tell you everything. They might just need to know when their bill's due, but now they're going to tell you about the recipe and that weird rash that they have. And it's coming, and every one of you knows it is. So you've got these two things, how important it is, but then the problem is you answering the team. This is where Leanne and her team have come in. This is the tool that I want to talk about today on the show, because the power of answering the phone is important, but you need to use a tool so that you can keep the value of your team members' time at its prime. And that's where Ringleaders comes in, right? So I want to talk about Ringleaders. Leanne, tell us about Ringleaders. I know you've already been speaking about it, but give us the view of it. How does it work? How are you helping agents? And what have you seen it do in the agencies that are using your service?
So we've been up and running for probably about 8 months now. And we have signed on quite a few agents across the country. And, a lot of them were surprised. Like I said before, a lot of them were surprised at the amount of missed calls that they were missing. They just didn't realize it. And a lot of them, one of their biggest concerns was, okay, when a customer calls in, even if they just want to ask about their bill or, hey, when is my bill due, or something simple like that, or I need an ID card. If they don't answer that call right away because everybody's busy, they'll just call back over and over and over. And every single time they call back, that customer gets more and more frustrated. So where we came in was we designed an affordable model. So I took the ATP model because it has to be compliant, right? Everything, you always have to appease Mother Mutual and make sure that you're not doing anything crazy. So you have to fit the business model, and everything has to stay in the system. Nothing, is outside. So we took that ATP model and I plugged it into Ringleaders, and it is designed for overflow calls. So if somebody can't pick up the phone, we're there to pick up the phone. We're available 9 to 5 in whatever time zone you're in. And we are unlicensed activities. We can answer a call, take a message, email it out to the team,
Yeah.
and take a call and transfer it. So let's say a quote comes in and there's a team member available, maybe they got off the phone right after we picked it up, then we can transfer that over to them so that they can do the quote. If everybody's still busy, we can fill out, an information sheet that's like, hey, your make, model of the car, how many miles are on it? Did you get a loan? Who's
Wow.
private? That kind of stuff.
So it's like a warm lead. It's like a warm transfer.
Yeah, we'll fill out a Word document.
Wow.
And then we'll get that over to the team so that somebody can, so the customer feels like, okay, this company's got my information and they're working on my quote. So maybe, hopefully that's a backstop from preventing them from calling someone else, because they can say, okay, they've got my quote, they're going to call me back, they're working on it. We can also check voicemail, because there's going to be times when a call comes in and we're already on the phone and everybody else is already on the phone too. It's bound to happen. But immediately when we hang up, we'll go check that voicemail and we'll make sure that customer gets where they need to go. We can email ID cards. So if a customer calls in and they're panicking because they got pulled over and they don't want to get a ticket, we can email them their ID cards right away. We can take simple payments, as long as the customer doesn't have a lot of quotes, or they don't want to move around a bunch of coverage and get quotes for that and stuff like that. They just, hey, I'm ready to pay my bill. We'll absolutely take those payments. And so it does alleviate this sort of pressure cooker that can happen in an agency on a really, really busy day.
Yeah.
When, and it seems like, oh, a payment shouldn't bog you down. But if you're in the middle of 5 things and you have to talk to this customer about a payment and they want to tell you about their day or how certain things are going and stuff like that, it can really distract you and you have to kind of go back and start over, and either that or you're multitasking and you're not really listening and you don't want that.
That's true. Yeah.
We're here to make sure that your agency provides a personal touch for your customers so that they don't end up elsewhere.
That's huge. And you said it provides overflow, right? And so it's like if your whole team's all on the phone, or for some reason your producer just right in the middle of a quote, they've got real confidence that if they can't get the call, it's going to go right to the Ringleaders team. They're going to pick it up as your agency, right? You're not going to answer it as Ringleaders. You're going to answer it as their agency. And so that person's going to know, hey, this person's connected to your agency. And then, you listed a ton of tasks. Email ID cards, simple payments. They can take info sheets on a quote. So basically, you're saying any unlicensed activity the team can do, and use the good word, the pressure cooker. Everybody knows how that feels, right? It just feels like they got so many things and it's just weighing down. And then when the phone rings, it might just be the thing that breaks the cooker, right? That it makes it explode. Ringleaders is here, it sounds like, to help provide that support that you need to get past that, to keep the main things. And you're right, you were talking about something that needs to take a payment. Well, if you're in the middle of a quote screen, my guess is you've got to close that screen. You've got to probably engage another screen or another browser or something, right? And the reality is, taking a payment isn't just a 30-second thing. You've got to stop what you're doing, close that down or put it to the side. You've got to reopen that customer. You've got to get all the stuff. You got to take that payment. You've got to finish that call. You got to put that away. You got to re-engage the quote. Okay, where was I? What was I doing? What was my stream of thought? And all of a sudden, this is not a 30-second payment deal. This is a 10 or 15-minute task. And if you can do math, which I'm not that great at, okay, I'll just be honest with you. But I can do enough math to know that it wouldn't take many calls in a day to take away an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of production from a team member. And this is where Ringleaders comes in.
Yeah. And I would say on average, we're answering probably 20 to 25 calls a day for each agency that we work in.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. So, we're answering a really, really high call volume. and we're able to handle those tasks. And back to what you said about, sort of, higher value work versus, and not that any one employee is lower value or higher value or
For
anything.
sure.
Everybody contributes to the team. But do you want your licensed people who you paid to get licensed and train and put them through school and all this kind of stuff? Do you want them just sitting there taking payments and emailing ID cards when their time could be better spent doing lots of other things? So I think putting each person in a role that they can succeed in, and then sort of matching that to licenses or certifications or whatever it is that you have is probably the best way to be the most efficient in your office.
Absolutely. And you hit on a thing. It's like, not that one's value is different, but the $100 an hour work of Ringleaders is to do that which is going to be $10 an hour work to your licensed producers, or the overflow of that, right? Because honestly, just answering the phone might be the thing that saves your customer. It might just, they're like, I'm going to call them one more time, and if I don't get a hold of somebody, I'm going down the street. Bam, they hit you at a moment that you're busy. Ringleaders picks up. They do a phenomenal job of taking care of that customer, and they say, you know what, I'm gonna stick with your agency. And I can promise you this: it is cheaper to keep a customer than it is to go find a new one.
Absolutely.
I can promise you that. So Ringleaders, would this be a good assessment? Okay. Now, I'm not on your marketing team, but I could be, Leanne. I'm not on your marketing team, but a slogan of Ringleaders could be, if they are saving you customers and they are answering your calls, they're really making you money. They're really making you money because they may be saving customers for you. And it's cheaper to save one than it is to go get a new one. And if they can save you money, they're really making you money. So anyway, we'll fit that into your whole marketing scheme. You can put it later if you want. It's not that great. We would need to be wordsmith, but the principle's true. If they're saving your customers, or they're providing reassurance to your customers that you're the right agency, they're really making you money. Which brings me to my next point: how much it costs. All right. So I'm an agent. I'm like, Leanne, Adam, you've sold me. What's it cost to get on board? How does the onboarding process work? Do you have room for new agents? Let's talk about that.
So yes, we absolutely have room for new agents. We have to work within, the phone systems, and we have to kind of cluster people together. But we absolutely have room for new agents. We are signing up new agents every day. The cost is super affordable. You won't even believe it. It's just a $500 setup fee.
Mhm.
$175 a month to Ringleaders, and then your remote receptionist, it's only $875 per month.
Oh, my goodness.
$875 per month, and they are available 9 to 5 in your business hours. And that's like $2.
Wow.
You're not going to find that anywhere else.
So you're talking about less than $200 a month. You've got confidence that your phone's going to be answered.
Well, it's $875 a month to the Ringleader, and $175 to.
Oh no, I'm sorry, $875. So we're talking about $1,000 a month. Okay, I was going to say that the $200 a month you all would not be in business, but at $1,000. But think about that, $1,000 a month. That's a fraction of the cost of what you're paying a team member. You all of a sudden now have somebody answering your phone, and is it somebody overseas?
Nope, they are right here in the U.S.
Wow.
They are in your system. They go in your book of business. Everything stays inside of your book of business. Nothing leaves. So all the information is secure. So yeah, it's not like a call center or anything like that.
Right.
These are just remote workers that are working from their home in the U.S. They're team members just like anybody else. So yeah, we do have bilingual available as well. We have a lot of bilingual team members.
Now listen, that's a big difference in like an Abby Connect or another remote receptionist, right? Because you're going to most likely have someone, they're going to be okay on the phone, but they could be overseas, right? Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you can tell. But also, you're not going to have someone who's actually well versed in what you do. They're going to be like a live note taker. And Ringleaders, it sounds like is that they are an extension of your office. You're paying them like a team member, right?
They are.
Um,
They do become a team member.
team member.
They will
Yeah.
become an integral part of your team. They will work with everybody. They will get to know everybody.
Oh, real? Wow. So you'll actually know their name.
And
And
it'll be the same person every time. You'll have the same person.
that's so huge.
It's not going to be, you're not going to get bounced around and get this person one day or this person. You will have the same person day to day.
Wow. So for around $1,000 a month, maybe a touch more, whatever, you get a team member that gives incredible confidence. That's great. That's phenomenal. So, and you do have room for new agents.
Yep. We absolutely do. We have hired up a bunch of remote receptionists, and they're in training, and they are going to be ready to go.
Wow, phenomenal. What's the onboarding time from the say, hey, I call your team, Leanne, I'm ready. What's the time from signing up to deployment?
Probably about a week and a half or 2 weeks, something like that.
That's it? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it can vary depending on state and, different stuff like that. Like one of the issues that we ran into that we had to remedy was, so Arizona, it doesn't do daylight savings time. So sometimes it's mountain time and sometimes it's Pacific time. So we have to make sure that we have somebody in Arizona that, stays on that time, because we want to make sure that we're in this for the long haul, and everybody, it's good for the team members, it's good for the agents. And so, but on average for most states, it's a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. Occasionally when we run into something like that, we've got to kind of move some things around to make it all work, but
Sure.
it doesn't take that much extra time.
But the concept's phenomenal because it builds on an existing concept. It just makes it better, in a bit more tailored to your company. And that's huge, right? So, hey, listen, I'm sold. If I were an agent, which I'm not, okay, I feel like I could be a pretty good team member. I feel like, so if any of you listeners, if I ever get fired from Front Runner, you can hire me. But man, this podcast, we're all about promoting tools, because the subtitle of the podcast is Tools for Tomorrow's Top Agents. And I believe for you to be a top agent, you have got to utilize tools like this to help your agency get ahead. I believe that, right? Because you could hire somebody in to be front desk receptionist kind of thing, right? And you're going to pay at best $2,500 a month, $3,000 a month, maybe, right? For an unlicensed person to come and do this. Let Ringleaders be your overflow. Let Ringleaders come in and fill the gaps of things that you would miss. And I could almost bet, I can't guarantee it, but I can almost bet that your production is going to go up some because you're not going to miss calls. And it's going to create more space for your producers to do what you're paying them to do. So that's huge. Okay. So Ringleaders, hey, by the way, if you want, what's the best way to contact? I've got the website here, ringleadersco.com. That's the right URL, correct?
Yes, that is the right. And if you want to get in touch, you can go to the website and you can sign up for a Zoom call. And then I go through everything with you. I have like a presentation. It takes about 15 minutes. Obviously it's not rocket science or anything like that. It takes about 15 minutes. I go through everything. And I do them I usually do these calls on Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays.
Got it. Yeah.
Usually at noon Central Time. Sometimes if I've got something going on or whatever, I do it at a different time. But you can sign up for a call, or you can email in to support@ringleaders.co. And you can email us and we could set something up separate if none of those times work for you. We're super flexible. There's several of us on the ownership team. All of them are agents. They're all women agents. And so they also know exactly what you're going through on a day-to-day basis. So you can, if the Zoom calls don't work with your schedule, reach out to us, email us, and we'll set up a different time for you.
So give that email address one more time. Is it support@ringleaders.co or support@ringleadersco.co?
Well, it was, so that's a funny story. We had an email address that was our domain, but then emails started going to spam. So we redid our email and now everything's good. So it's support@ringleaders.co. I know that that's confusing, but
No, I love it. So it's right here, support@ringleaders.co. All right. So if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, which the majority of you are, again, that's support@ringleaders.co. The website, though, is ringleadersco.com. All right. So ringleadersco.com. You need to connect. You need to not walk. You need to run and get a part of this, because the reality is that we find that tools like this that get out, they fill up really, really quickly. And so I would assume it'll be similar with Ringleaders. Maybe not, but the folks that I know that have this already love it. Hence is why I'm bringing you on, because it's already helping agents. And from a podcast that's produced by Frontrunner, which is one of the leading bonus trackers, activity trackers. We only want to promote tools that help agents, and this is one of them. And so you need to connect. So anything else on Ringleaders that you want to share? Because I know you're busy, but I want to get your thoughts on two other quick things. But anything else on Ringleaders?
I mean, I think we pretty much covered it. If you want some information, just reach out to us and we'll get with you and get you fixed up as soon as we can.
Awesome. Fantastic. So again, that's ringleadersco.com, or send them an email, support@ringleaders.co, and they'll get you handled. All right. So let me pivot real quickly, Leanne, because I've got you on. Let's talk about the unconventional convention, the Helpy Hour event. All right. That's coming up. Tell us about this really great event for agents. It's going to be in Kansas City this year. So tell us about it. Tell us why agents need to be at it. I was at it last year. Frontrunner was at it. We had an incredible time. But yeah, give us the scoop on the unconventional convention.
So how this whole thing sort of came about. So I used to be an AFS for the company back when it was the old structure and you had like an AFE and, all that kind of stuff. But so I would help put on events and things like that, and sort of moving into the way that everything is set up now. Let's go back to personal touch. We've lost a little bit of that personal touch because your leadership and things like that, it's, a lot of it is Zoom, Teams, all that kind of stuff. And so we just felt like it's important being together and being able to connect and have people that share your same struggles and your same successes, be able to meet. And why does it always have to be this stuffy sort of formal meeting? Now, so we were like, how do we collide these two worlds? Like, we want to have fun, but we also we want to be serious about business when we want to talk about serious business stuff, but we also want to have a lot of fun. And so
Yeah.
I was like, well, I think that we could do this. And so we sort of came up with this idea, and we wanted it to be unconventional. And so we just kind of went out on a limb, and I really, really feel like our event last year was a big success.
For
But
sure.
some people couldn't come because it was Vegas and it was a little bit out of the way. So, whenever we were looking at different locations, we were like, okay, well, if that's out of the way, where can we go in the middle? And obviously I know Kansas City very well because that's, I lived there for a long time. And people will be shocked at the amount of things that there are to do in Kansas City, especially downtown Kansas City. So we are doing it at the Crown Plaza downtown that's connected to Crown Center, Union Station. There's a trolley that's free that goes up and down downtown. You don't even need an Uber. You can hit, if you want to hit bars and things like that in the evening, you can do that. If you want to do more family things, there's things, to do that within walking distance. So I think you'll be really, really surprised at how much there is to do in Kansas City. And we have so many cool things. So one of the things that I sort of pride ourselves on for our meeting is the way that we deliver information and the things that you leave with. So last year, everybody left with a really, really thick program, and it had all kinds of things in it about, goal setting, making a business plan, just activities that your team can do. Last year in the program, there were 3 or 4 different variations of team member activities that you could have them do, and they didn't overlap. So it had them doing different things at different times. So, it might be, hey, this person is, they're going to catch the phones while this person calls out and does quotes, and then they're going to flip flop. And, so they left with, it was probably about 200 pages of stuff that they left with. And plus we added fun stuff. I made like a coloring book from people from Healthy Hour, and like pictures and stuff that people had uploaded. I made coloring books. We had, buttons and, things that said, just different little funny things that have come up, throughout the years with the group that, became little inside jokes. And this year it's going to be really, really cool because we are doing a whole throwback to the 90s. So any of my 90s kids, like I'm going to go ahead and release a secret so it's going to be Front Runner Podcast. You're going to hear it first.
Let's go.
Programs are going to come in a 90s Trapper Keeper.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it's going to be very sort of like Lisa Frank. So we're going to have a lot of like 90s theme. And then after the first day of the meeting, we're also going to, this year, we're going to do a little something different. So Adam, you're going to have to go shopping.
Okay.
Doing Helpy Prom. So you're going to need a prom outfit. So
let's go.
Yeah. So we're doing prom, and, there are some people who are dressing up as 90s. I heard a rumor that a couple people are coming as Romy and Michelle, which would be really, really cool.
Legit.
We've got some people like dressing up because we've got like a photo booth and stuff there. So some people are coming really, really fancy. Some people are coming 90s. We have one guy who isn't going to buy an outfit at all. When he lands in Kansas City, he is going to go from thrift store to thrift store to see what kind of outfit he can come up with.
That's awesome.
So you are not going to want to miss this. Like it is going to be a really, really good event. And unfortunately, we're not going to do one next year because it is a convention year. So, so you better get your tickets to this one because it'll be a while, before we do a big one again.
Dude, it sounds incredible. I'm a big 90s guy, by the way. I might rap Vanilla Ice. I might Ice. I'm telling you, I know all the lyrics. In fact, I rapped that song to my wife at our wedding, and I changed the words to fit her. So you're speaking my language, Leanne. Listen, this doesn't sound like the normal, and everybody's been to the events. It's you show up, there's vendors outside, you go in for the talks, you leave the talks, and then you come back the next day and you do it all over again, and then you go home, right? No, this truly, I mean, it's definitely got the teaching educational elements, the things that's going to inspire your agency. You're going to leave more equipped and excited to go grow it. But then there's it really was a ton of fun last year. And like that cat, right? Like the cat, I have a cat like that.
He just jumped up my lap.
If you're listening on Spotify, we have a huge orange cat.
Yeah, he's just, orange tabby cat. It's my daughter's cat.
I have an orange tabby cat too. It's great. We're friends like that. Check it out. It's gonna be September 4th and 5th in Kansas City. Hey, you could come in early. You come in September the 3rd. The Royals are in town, so you could catch a Royals game if you want, which is a really cool experience in Kansas City. But you don't want to miss September 4th, 5th. Kansas City at the Crown Plaza downtown. It's got the trolley connected to it. It's gonna be a great event. Front Runner's gonna be there. It's gonna be fantastic. HelpyHourEvents.com/events, or just go to HelpyHourEvents.com, and that's where you can get tickets, right?
Yep, that's right. Yep. It's going to be really good. So you're not going to want to miss it. I know that.
Fantastic. All right, one last question, if I can ask you. I know you're busy, but I know you guys have launched some new stuff at Agency Team Pro. Since I've got you, tell us about that really quick, and then I'll let you go, Leanne.
Yeah, and I know that Rob was on this podcast before, and it feels like I'm just like, I feel like I have my hands in everything.
You do.
But I mean, really, my passion is really, really helping agents do more with their resources and with their agencies and providing those. So one more thing that we're going to do at Agency Team Pro is we are going to be launching a sales assistant program. Cool. little plug to FrontRunner. One of the other sort of things that we're going to be doing is we are going to be teaching or training our team members that are already on staff who check like policies issued and mailed and things like that. We're going to be training them on how to update FrontRunner logs.
Oh, sweet.
So we're going to be training them to do that so that after they check something, instead of another handoff where it's, hey, this issued correctly or higher than what was quoted or lower than what was quoted, instead of handing that off, we can go in and just fix that in your commission sheet for you.
That's awesome, by the way. That's the first time I'm hearing that, and that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, FrontRunner's had that functionality that you can assign out to a remote team member to be able to sort of issue policies back and forth inside of FrontRunner. And so you're saying that you're going to train a team member at ATP that could be part of this new sales assistant role.
Yeah. So, well, and it could be even part of the other roles as well, as like a little add-on if you want that. We're trying to work through, obviously we're piloting it right now and working through the kinks. So probably later on this fall is when we're going to roll out those 2 features. So obviously the updating FrontRunner sales log could be in some of the other packages that we have, but also in that sales assistant role. But the sales assistant role, it's something that David and Rob and I are coming up with now, where because we had to design a program that can help you get sales with service people. And so how do we do that? Because it's you can find a lot more service people than you can salespeople. And so we sort of came up with this idea that our service people could be assistants to the salespeople in the office. They could help with follow-up, making sure that we've hit all the touch points, because on average, it takes about 7 contacts for someone to say, yeah, I'll take a quote. So if we can make sure that we follow up at least those 7 times, then, if we finally get someone that says, yeah, I'll take a quote, then we get that sales team member on the call right away. So we're not taking away commissions or sales. You're not having to split it with us or anything like that. It's just, we're there to be basically your salespeople's assistants and make sure that the follow-up process actually gets followed up with. Because I would say, in my experience, that is where you lose most of your sales.
It's a great idea, and I don't think that's being done anywhere, to have a specific sales assistant. That's a fantastic idea. So you say you're piloting it right now and rolling it out in the fall sometime?
Yeah, probably after Happy Hour convention, just when things kind of calm down.
Yeah.
And I can, be in front of my desk a little bit more, because I have a feeling when that kind of hits, we'll be pretty busy, because, sales are obviously very, very vital to every agency out there.
That's right. That's exciting. So here's my challenge to you. If you're listening, get to the Happy Hour convention, the unconventional convention, because I'm assuming you might hear more about that there. But plug into their socials. I'm sure they can. You already know, if you stay on Facebook, they're always rolling stuff out there. Agency Team Pros Facebook. Stay connected, because you don't want to miss that. That sounds phenomenal. So. Okay, we talked about a lot, Leanne. Thank you for your time. Super grateful. You are one of the busiest people I know, and so, but man, I'm so grateful for what you do, because you've launched companies and products that help agents, and you not only do it by yourself. You've got business partners who also have the exact same heart, and so I think that's phenomenal, and it's why people are using you guys left and right. It's why you're growing, and so I'm grateful for your time today. I really am.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, Leanne, thanks again. And that's going to be it for episode number 31 of To the Front. Wow, we talked about a lot, but this is a great episode. You need to bookmark it. You need to go back and listen to it, right? Because you need to be reminded every day how important it is to answer the phone. And there's power in that, right? We feel like even by just answering the phone can grow your business. That's why you need Ringleaders. That's the tool for today. Ringleaders. Check that out, ringleadersco.com, or email them support@ringleaders.co. They'll get you onboarded. Dude, it's like a quarter of what you would pay a team member, a quarter of what you would pay, Why would you not? Why would you not do that? So make sure you check that out. Start answer the doggone phone. When your customer, don't do the equivalent of what my 17-year-old does, right? Don't, when they call you, you text back. Don't do that. Answer the phone. You're going to see your business grow. Get to the Helpy Hour Unconventional Convention and be on the lookout for ATP for that new sales assistant, remote worker could revolutionize how you do business. So until then, until episode number 32, which I'm really excited about, we're going to talk about how do you decommoditize a commodity-based industry. Excited. I'm going to have my friend George Elosice back on. Don't miss episode of number 32 of To the Front. Until then, lead your agency with courage. Lead it for something more than you and more than what, something that will outlive your life. Until then, take care.